I'm listening.
Hello viewers, welcome again to Discovering Truth. And I am Pastor Forbes from the Gateway Abiding Word Ministries here in the Gambia. Let me start by saying a very deep and heartfelt thank you to everybody who either supported, participated, attended, and took keen notice and observation of our just ended convention, Destiny 2025. It stands in a world of its own. We have never had it like this. From Monday night when I opened the conference to Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday night, and then that explosion on Friday night. I know a lot of you have seen photographs on all the platforms, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, even LinkedIn, YouTube. I want to say thank you so much. We really felt your kindness, your love, your support, and our prayer and our trust is that you picked something from the convention theme, the unusual. You picked something that either showed you a roadmap, a pathway, rekindled your sense of hope and joy, and brought you to the point where you now know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you need the Messiah, you need Christ, you need Jesus, you need God in your life to make the usual become the unusual, until the unusual becomes the norm, the usual. And thank you so much. Of course, on Friday night, I extended thanks to all who helped us from outside the church, contractors, all kinds of communications and working that we had. We are grateful. And so we have started our 38th year. We are 2 years away from Abiding Word at 40 and 12 short years away from our Golden Jubilee, 50 years in 12 short years. And I'll be around, and I want you all to be around. It's going to be like never before. It's going to be a grand homecoming of Abiding Word members from every corner of the earth. We are planning this for the next 12 years. There are some people, when we put out our information, people ask me, you mean you plan 9 months ahead of time? Yes, in my mind, I actually have the dates already for Destiny 2026. And every time our friends and our delegates and members come, they get so enthralled with what is happening and they want other people to come. Yes, there is hope in Christ. Yes, there is a reality of life. And that reality is the desire of us tasting and living on the unusual lane than just the usual. So I'm going to take the next 2 or 3 weeks and stop before Christmas to just flesh out some understandings on this theme, the unusual, so that even for you, maybe you have one of our wristbands. It says the unusual, Abiding Word celebrating 37 years, that you can ask yourself, is your life just on the usual flow? Do you want the unusual? Do you want to come on that frequency, that channel, that wavelength where anything and everything is possible under the grace of God in your life? I'm sure it's a resounding yes, because I do. And the whole of last week, I had understanding, explanation, instruction, insight, depth of teaching from the Word of God, the Bible, that made me know that, wow, I need to pick up my pace, I need to change gears, I need to change frequency, I need to climb higher to channel unusual, because usual has not brought me much in life. Interestingly, I'm sure for those of you who follow my program on television regularly, you know that the series we just ended, the 4-part series, was entitled There is Much More to Your Life Than This. There is much more to your life than this. And so I'll talk about the unusual, use a few scriptural accounts that I hope will trigger something in you to desire the unusual for yourself for all time. As I said when I opened the convention last Monday, the 3rd, I said we should live on the plane and the channel, the wavelength, the frequency, the zone of the unusual until it becomes the usual. So why is this important? It's important, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of people just really are living life, grinding in life daily. A lot of people without joy, purposeful living, conviction. They just know they have to do this. My father did it, so I have to do it. My mother worked hard, I have to work hard. I want to break the back of poverty. I want to remove a curse from our family. I want to make sure I give my children a better life than I had, etc., etc., etc. When the unusual manifests in somebody's life, it becomes an incontrovertible, game-changing way. That's how I define it. These are my words. An incontrovertible, game-changing pathway for salvation, for life purpose, and for life meaning. Because if we are all on the usual plane, then everybody's the same. You can predict somebody's life to the end because it follows the usual. Once every year, they must have malaria. Once every year, they must have this. It runs in the family. This is our family sickness. Flu season. We have all these terminologies. A superactive child, ADHD, too much sugar in the brain. And we just go, and just go. To the point that when people have challenges, we are not able to tell them anything. We just say, well, Munlen, Naphobia, just take heart, I'm plodding along slowly. That's the phraseology you hear all the time. We are managing, Pastor, you see struggle, you get managed, like, life is like that, boy, we are just patching, Pastor. That's the usual. It's predictable. It's expected. But there is a realm called the unusual. It's rare. It's uncommon. It's strange. It's odd. It's unheard of. It's improbable. It's unthought of. But it happens. And it can happen so regularly that this is God. There are people who know God's provision. That even if they have nothing at home, they know that before they sleep, provision will come. And it comes. There is a realm of the unusual that makes life, back to my term, an incontrovertible, game-changing life for us. We will look at a few scriptures, but I just want to give some insight as I did at the convention, and then I will give you the scriptures. When something is unusual, it is rare, it is uncommon. As I said, it is strange, it's foreign, it's odd, it's outstanding, it's remarkable. Something unusual is outside of the norm or the normal. It's unorthodox. It's outside of the orthodox, outside of the known, outside of the expected, outside of the understood. So basically, without the possibility of the unusual, this is how life will be. Common, normal, nothing outstanding, nothing remarkable, nothing odd, nothing foreign, nothing out of the normal, just orthodox, just known, just expected, it's just understood. Now so we granny them be the do. Oh, this, you can't change it, this is how it goes. The usual. So you hear phrases like winsome, lose some. Half a loaf is better than no bread. Great phrases, but all boxing us within the usual. So when you dare for the unusual, you know the responses you get and the reactions you get. Nobody wants to give you a chance. Nobody believes you. People tell you voluminously why it will never work. But you see, the unusual has a base, and the base is in God. And for that base to be appropriated, you and I need that relationship with God as manifested through the Messiah, bringing you to purpose, bringing us to meaning, bringing us to life significance, us understanding the mandate of God for our lives. So I'm not just here eating, walking, sleeping, getting married, having children, building a house, owning a compound, and just repeat. Just repeat. Just repeat. No. As I said in the last series, there is much more. And it is called the unusual. The unusual are phenomena or events that happen and they deviate from the ordinary or expected patterns of life. The unusual is something that demonstrates the extraordinary power and the sovereignty of God. And I would like that. When everything has said closed, then the unusual comes with the extraordinary power of God and says open and stay open. When everything has said no, and you know it's no, work has closed, the banks have closed, all cars are going from Banjul across the bridge, and somehow, in the spirit of the unusual, based on a relationship with God, a thriving relationship that's active, you hear this voice that says, turn your car and go back to Banjul and go to the bank. And you look at your watch, you say, it's just not possible. And you drive in obedience, and you go and you find that maybe somebody said they forgot something, or somebody was doing reconciliation, and the bank is open. Now, I know you know things like that, but I don't want you to know them in the exception. I want that exception to become the rule for my life, where I know that I believe for the extraordinary, I yearn for it, I desire for it, I pray for it, I walk in relationship to God with it, so it will happen. It is from that position that people are able to tell you that we don't take no for an answer. We don't take no for an answer. So throughout the scriptures, God, we find him using unusual means to accomplish his purposes. And he uses people to do that. In so doing, he reveals what is his divine nature and his divine authority over the earth. So there is a man in the Bible called Joshua. He was Musa's servant. He was fighting a particular battle against an enemy army and nation. And the battle went on till the evening. And as we say in English, the sun was to go down and the moon was to come up. And it's written in the scripture that this man commanded the sun to stand still and the moon not to show up, because he had to win this battle and be victorious over these people. Is that unusual? Most definitely. Because naturally, it won't happen. Naturally, 7:30, 8, depending on summer or winter, you just find that the clouds start changing. Darkness sets in. He kept the darkness back until he finished what he was doing. Does that make him a Superman? No. It's channeling the unusual, miraculous power of God through your life, again from a relationship. That's why I said a couple of weeks ago, knowing God as creator is not the same as knowing God as Father. When the disciples of Jesus Christ asked him, they said to him, Master, teach us to pray. He said, when you pray, start like this: Our Father who art in heaven. Not our creator, not our maker. That's a far removed, esoteric term. But when you say Father, you bring it down into a relationship. You bring it down into what we call a covenant, an agreement. My daughter will say, that's my dad, that's my father. And so, everything that God does, there is the usual, but there is the unusual. And a lot of the people where you can pick out in the Bible, Musa, Dawda, David, Joshua, Elijah, the prophets you can pick out, there was something unusual about their walk with God. So the unusual to the physical eye and to human knowledge, human reasoning, human logic, human estimate and understanding is an uncharted territory. It can't happen. It's an unknown realm of operation, but it exists. You know, I've said over and over again, we all sleep. And sometimes you wake up in the morning and you had a dream that was so picturesque. And the next day it happens. The dream comes to pass exactly as you saw it. The person was wearing what they were wearing. You saw the color. Yet you were snoring. If a cell phone or a dictaphone was put next to you, they probably hear. The physical is not actively functioning and responding. In fact, sleep goes into what they call REM sleep. You go into that deep sleep, but there is a part of you which is super alive and is contacting the non-physical, which is a more real dimension than the physical. If not, how do we account for it? You saw somebody fighting you in a dream and doing something. I have seen things and I've heard things. People who saw family members, friends, sometimes house helps, stealing in the dream. And the next morning, exactly so. When they were closing, they said, open your bag. And the item was there. That is not the usual. Yet it is not also suspicion. Because with suspicion, you'll be wrong. It's a download. It's a knowing and understanding that God is pleased to give us when we come into that relationship with Him. And so the unusual is a realm that is very, very real, compelling, and permanent, because it is what God, by His Spirit, does to us. Let me read an encounter in the Bible. In the New Testament of 27 books, the 5th book is the book after the 4 Gospels, the Gospel of Matthew, Luke the physician, Mark, and John, one of the disciples. The next book is called the Acts of the Apostles, or the doings of God through the life of these apostles. Acts has 28 chapters, and I'm going to read the last chapter, chapter 28, and maybe just the first 6, 7, or maybe the first 10 verses. I want you to listen very carefully. Acts chapter 28, ACTS, act like action, ACTS, spacebar 28, colon 1, or just write Acts chapter 28, and you'll follow me. Remember my counsel, get a Bible. Now, when they had escaped, they then found out that the island that they got to was called Malta. And the natives of Malta showed us unusual kindness, extraordinary kindness, unprecedented kindness, kindness out of the box, out of the norm. For they kindled a fire and made us welcome because of the rain that was falling and because of the cold. So maybe you want to picture like a village setting. or a barbecue setting or a bonfire. So these people, they were on a ship heading to Rome. There were 276 of them. Some were bad people like criminals. And there was this servant of God called Paul, Saul, that God converted to Paul. He made his case for his conversion, and they were fighting him. He said, I'm a Roman citizen, much as I'm also a Jew, and I'm appealing to Caesar. And when he said that, the governor said, you have appealed to Caesar you will go. So they were taking this ship to Rome, and they had a shipwreck, and they ended up on this island called Malta. So it says here it was raining and it was cold, so they put a fire, like a bonfire. So in that setting, you can think of children playing akara somewhere, young men listening to reggae or disco, people brewing attire, the barbecue is there, chicken, whatever, goat, pork, whatever they have. The women are chatting, babies are crying, the men are playing draft, dummy. You know that setting. The cock is crowing somewhere, a dog is chasing a cat somewhere, and the young ladies are talking. And as that was going, everybody, mainly the men in such cultures, were around the fire keeping warm because it had rained and it was cold. Verse 3 says, but when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire so that more fire will go, a viper, a snake, a viper came out because of the heat and fastened on Paul's hand. Ooh. So the viper was among the sticks. It just embedded himself there. And as Paul was putting the sticks onto the fire, the heat from the fire made the viper react. And it actually bit and fastened itself on Paul's hand. Now look at this. Verse 4. When the natives saw the creature hanging from Paul's hand, they said to one another, no doubt, this man is a murderer. You see people's worldview? He's a murderer who, though he has escaped the sea, yet justice, nemesis, does not allow him to. This man is going to die. But Paul shook off the creature into the fire, and he suffered no harm. Nothing happened to him. Unusual. However, verse 6 says they were expecting that he would swell up or suddenly fall down, dead. But after they had looked for a long time and saw no harm come to him at all, they changed their minds and said, this man is a god. So in a space of, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know for how much longer they looked at him, they thought, this is not normal. This is not the usual. If a viper fastens itself on you, bites you, the venom maybe will go block your heart and your brain or something. So they were expecting that. We are all here. No viper has jumped on anybody but this man. One, he's a murderer. He escaped the shipwreck. He didn't drown in the water. The gods are after him, because that was their way of thinking. And you can be limited by the usual. So he just shook the snake into the fire. And the snake would have hissed, and it was roasted. And the people were watching. This guy is going to fall down dead. This thing has beaten him. He has shaken it into fire. It says, when they had looked for a long time and they saw no harm, nothing happened to Paul, they, the natives of that island, changed their minds. And they said, wow, this is a god. This is not normal. This is uncommon. This is unusual. This is strange. This is foreign. This is out of orthodox. This is the unusual. Can somebody live that life? Yes. Can you live it? Yes. Can I live it? Yes. What's the proviso? This life comes from being sold out to God through the Messiah. When you know who you are and you can access the realm of the unnatural and the supernatural and flow in it every time. My time is up. I'm going to stop here for this introduction. We'll continue to part 2, part 3, and maybe part 4. Then we'll start talking about Christmas, because it's just around the corner. Until I come your way next week, by the special grace of God, this is Pastor Bob saying, please desire the unusual, desire the unexpected, desire the uncommon, so that you can live in that frequency and channel and not just grind in the normal, usual life. May God keep us until we meet again. Have a good day. Discover